Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into the week 12 edition of the Sunday Sideline Report here on the SIN YouTube channel. Mike, Dan, Mark with you, gentlemen. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Some of us had a better one than others, mainly because of what happened the day after Thanksgiving, but how are we doing?
Go ahead, Dan. We'll let Dan go first for once.
Well, a lot of I didn't have a lot of turkey, but I had a lot of stuffing. Stuffing was really good, especially if we put the gravy on it. So,
Oh,
Did you get stuffed on the stuffing?
yeah, and so did the Lions, but we'll get to
We'll
that.
get to the Lions.
yeah.
Uh,
Thanksgiving was great. You know, football, food doesn't get much better than that. Lots of turkey, lots of stuff. And the one thing I got to do that I love, I cook. So I'm
So wait.
happy.
So you cooked. What's
Yes,
the
sir.
go-to side at the Halpern household?
The go-to side, and a lot of people, it's not stuffing. Stuffing, yes, I love stuffing. Like Dan just said, stuffing, it's the potatoes, man. You have
Mm,
different types of potatoes, whether you have mashed and sweet potatoes. It's the potatoes.
oh, fair enough. I enjoy a good turkey, so uh,
Turkey's really good.
we hope
Yeah.
everyone out there had a good
See, the
Thanksgiving.
last few years I've only had turkey fried and stuff. This year I had it over the oven. It was
Ah, there you go.
pretty damn juicy. I'll tell you that much.
Mm.
So while you're still probably feasting on leftovers, we will talk about this upcoming week in football. But we'll start with a recap of the three Thanksgiving games plus the first ever Black Friday game.
Was it ever black?
Was it ever, as the Rolling Stones say in the commercial, painted black? All right. But we'll start with the three games on Thanksgiving. The first one saw the Green Bay Packers beat the Detroit Lions by a score of 29-22. Jordan Love was 22 of 32 for 268 yards and three touchdowns. Mark's guy Jared Goff, 29 of 44, 332 yards, two touchdowns, and three fumbles for the Lions. The Packers move to 5-6. The Lions go to 8-3. And Mark, don't look now, but when you go into the hunt category in the NFC playoff picture,
It's
now you see the Green
changed.
Bay Packers.
Yeah. When you looked at the lines going into this game and the position they were in to literally run the board up until Christmas, and like I was saying, be 12-2 at Christmas would have been pretty much a fight between them and the Eagles to get the top spot in the NFC. This loss, it didn't come because the Packers were better. Goff was just ungoff like. Three fumbles is not what he if it was three interceptions, I would say, yeah, Goff does that, but he throws touchdowns even though the offensive line was the fail of this game today, of this game on Thursday for the Lions, as the Packers were in there all day and put so much pressure on Goff. Even though Goff offensively had a great game, those three fumbles were pretty much the deciding factor.
I'm worried about Detroit. I'm not saying they won't make the playoffs. I'm not saying they won't win the NFC North. That's not what I'm saying. Um, but since that Ravens game where they got absolutely obliterated, they have not played. They played a lot of close games for sure. I don't know if they fully recovered because they have not played like the Detroit Lions that we saw in the first 7 games or so, where they were dominant on defense, dominant on offense. So I am a little concerned because seasons can spiral that way. And you don't want to have bad losses like the one you saw on Thursday against the Packers, where you get absolutely killed in every category possible. So a little worried about that. Jared Goff did not play well. Plain and simple, he was not accurate with his throws. He kept turning the ball over. Offense didn't do him any favors either. And the coaching, the play calling was dreadful throughout the entire game. So yeah, it's all of it's a whole factor into it. The Lions are just not playing as dominant as they started. And I think Dan Campbell really has to get into their asses a little bit. This should be more the humbling experience that they, this stretch pretty much. The humbling experience that they need, and Dan Campbell needs to get their asses together because right now, you know, you don't want it. You don't want to let it slide too much and have them get complacent and feel fine.
The thing about Detroit for me is most of those guys have never been in this spot.
Yeah.
But the most important guy has been in this spot. Jared Goff played for the Rams. Good football team, went to a Super Bowl. When he plays well, the team plays well. But I'm not even going to look to him and his 3 turnovers. That defense needed to make some plays, and they didn't. And this is a Green Bay Packer team where I'm going to offend Patch here, but we don't know what the Green Bay Packers are. I don't know what Jordan Love is. I don't know what these receivers are. And they go into that game without their 2 best offensive players, no Aaron Jones and David Bakhtiari. And they had their way with the Lions. Whether it's Christian Watson on a deep route, Romeo Dobbs underneath. Like this, when we talk about the powerhouses of the NFC, and we're going to talk about a couple of them in this episode, we'll talk about one in the next game and one Thursday night. What do they all have in common? Along with Philly, really good defenses. I'm not sure the Detroit Lions have the defense to go out and win a big playoff game. I know they have the pass rush with Aiden Hutchinson, but the secondary kind of concerns me there, Mark.
When you look at the game as a whole, forget about everything from the second quarter on because there really nothing happened after that. Everything took place in that first quarter. The way the Packers came out and moved on the Lions, I was beyond surprised. But then the Lions answered back, and then it just all fell apart. Right after that, you had one fumble which turned into a 9-yard pass from Jordan Love, and then you had the 27-yard fumble return for a touchdown. And right now, yes, for the Lions of a team that can score, but being down 20-6 after the first quarter does not give you a lot of confidence and really alters the game plan you currently have.
And I just want to go to the Packers for a second. This has mainly been Lions focused. But the Packers next week, well, they host the Chiefs. That's on Sunday Night Football. Then they play the New York Giants. Then they play Tampa and Carolina before ending the year with the Vikings and the Bears. Mark, one word, yes or no. Do the Packers make the playoffs?
No.
Dan?
The stretch of the Packers is huge if they really want to make a playoff run. I don't know they'll pull off the wins, though. I think those are tough matchups that they have to face. You're asking a lot from Green Bay. I mean, they put themselves in a hole a long time ago. So I don't think so. But any given Sunday, you never really know until you actually see it happen. So
Right.
that's why I'm kind of holding out. But no, my gut feeling is that I think it's a little too much to handle. The good news for the Packers, though, this NFC is wide open.
Mm.
As a matter of fact, I'll even say this: the NFL is wide open. The entire
Besides,
NFL is wide open.
besides the Eagles and the Chiefs on both sides of the ball, even though Marquez Val Scantling doesn't know how to catch, but
Yeah.
well, that whatever. The Eagles and the Chiefs are really the two teams you have to look at as the front runners, but don't count out the Lions just yet. And as Dan said, if you were to go to look at the list of in the hunt, pretty much everybody but the Carolina Panthers and the New York Jets are really in the hunt.
Oh, well, we can add. I could add onto that list: Patriots, Giants.
Yeah, I know, but I just wanted to just
By the
pick
way,
out two names.
by the way, I want to see the ratings for that game today. You got the Giants and the Patriots. If you're
That's
gonna
my
watch
nap
that,
time game.
it's gonna be a great game. Epic stuff. All right, we've one down from Thanksgiving. Next one. Mark, the Cowboys covered the spread. They beat the Commanders 45-10. Your guy Dak Prescott, 331 yards and 4 touches. Deron Bland, you made sure I got this note in. 5th pick six of the season, an NFL record. So,
Yeah.
Mark, the Cowboys dismantled the Commanders, which was a competitive game for a while.
Yes.
Yeah, way take care of business though. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
So
And
every
working
year,
overtime.
Thanksgiving, you always guaranteed to have the Lions, and then 4 o'clock you have the Cowboys. It's usually somebody within the NFC East, usually who Dallas is playing. This time it was the poor unfortunate Commanders. And the way the game started off was yet again another disappointing start with going for it on 4th down on the goal line and not getting in. Just put the points on the board. Stop with trying to work in every gadget play. You're playing the Commanders. If this was the 49ers, different story. So, Rico Dowdle then ends up going in Dallas up 7-0. Again, this was the Washington Commanders defense, but Dak Prescott was a surgeon out there. I don't care what team he was playing. 22 of 32, 331 and 4 touchdowns. Brandon Cooks is now starting to catch fire as whatever was ailing him in the first half of the season is now obviously gone. Tony Pollard now regained the running back spot and 13 for 79 and a touchdown. But one thing you have to notice from Dallas is the complete change from being a run first offense. They're switched to, I hate to use this term, but it's coined that way. They've switched to a West Coast offense in which it's a pass first, run second. And I like it because what's the point of trying to drill the ball to get you 2nd and 4 when you're not getting 2nd and 4? Go with what works, and passing the ball works, as it's shown here today. The defense was the defense. It wasn't like they were playing the 49ers. Micah Parsons, another sack. I was very happy. And then, of course, yes, when DeBron Bland picked that ball off, I said, anybody tackle him, I'll kill you. And when he went in, that was just the gravy on the turkey that day. DeBron Bland with his 5th pick six of the season, an NFL record. And mind you, ladies and gentlemen, this is a problem the Dallas Cowboys have, and I love it. You're going to have 3 cornerbacks next year: Stephon Gilmore, DeBron Bland, and Trayvon Diggs. That's a scary 3 cornerbacks to have to face.
Is Gilmore under contract next year?
2-year deal.
Okay. Dan?
So, this the game really showed me a lot about the Washington Commanders and did about the Dallas Cowboys. It's not shocking that the Cowboys won this game the way they did. Their offense is stellar when it has to be. They have an offensive minded coaching system that Mike McCarthy's drilled up. So he's done a pretty good job with that. Defense is incredibly talented. Really suffocating at times. I give the Commanders a lot of credit, though. They held it in there for as long as they did, and then, of course, it broke down. Usually, right around third quarter, when everyone's getting tired and you're not really getting much out of your offense. That's when it sort of breaks down a little bit. So, but I give the Commanders a lot of credit for, at least trying. But ultimately, what this season has shown for Washington is that they are in need of serious changes. It starts with the head coach. And if I can take it a step further, I think Josh Harris, one of the very first things he has to do at the end of the season is clean house. It wouldn't hurt to get a new voice in there. New voice at GM, new voice at head coach, because they desperately need it. They desperately need the a team that could go out there and win. Right now, we're not seeing winning ball players on the Commander's staff. One, they don't know how to win because a lot of these players have never won before in their lives. So yeah, a tough one to swallow if you're Washington. But in terms of Dallas, Dallas they're in the thick of the conversation now. This says I know it was an easy win at the end of the day, but Dallas is a dangerous team. They are a major, major, major threat, and this is not the only time they put a 40 piece on anyone this season. So, they are very much on the way. They're a dangerous team.
I want to go off something you said about Washington. The first thing is, I agree. We will talk about coaching hot seats in a little bit, but you're right. I think the Commanders are one of those teams that needs a change. But I also think the Commanders are one of those teams that need to not look in the quarterback market because I think Sam Howell's played really well.
He's a beast. Well, here's my thing. I really think Bieniemy, even if he's not the head coach, he should stay on that coaching staff next year because Sam Howell it's done wonders for him in that system, and this year has pretty much proven exactly what a lot of people have been saying. Eric Bieniemy is just as good of a head coach. He's just as is, and he's really good at his job. So, I think it would do wonders for Sam Howell. You give him a good offensive weapons, not Jahan Dotson, who doesn't know how to.
I don't mind McLaurin and Dotson. I would get another guy on the outside, put Dotson in the slot, and then maybe you're cooking with something. Brian Robinson has the ability to be a very good running back, I feel.
Yeah, but he's not an RB1.
But they need to.
What?
This isn't even a. They need to work on the offensive line.
Yeah, I'm sensing something with New York about because the Jets have a lot to think about. Their team's in disarray.
We will get there.
What would it take for the Commanders to reach out to the Jets about a Breece Hall? I know the Jets won't do it.
I'm not sure the Jets do that.
Jets won't do it. But what if? It wouldn't hurt.
Well, let's play the game that Dan just said. Look, I like Breece Hall when the Jets not only drafted him, I like the way he looked at the beginning of last year before that real tragic knee accident in Denver. Look at what the guy is trying to do on a team that can barely let him do it. He's got speed, he's got explosiveness. You got to get him more of a line to protect. If you wanted to take it to that step, let's play devil's advocate. The Jets offer him up. What would be the return becomes the question. You're going to get Aaron Rodgers back next year, hopefully. You don't really know, but you're going to get Aaron Rodgers back, so it's not going to be for a quarterback. Would you do it for someone like Terry McLaurin?
If I'm Washington, I wouldn't do that.
Well, you got Dotson, you got Samuel, and you got
Samuel's a free agent, so
they're going to keep him. He's not. No team's going to take him. He's staying in Washington.
You can find a new wide receiver.
No, I'm not disputing that, but if you're asking me, would I trade Terry McLaurin for Breece Hall? My answer would be no for this reason, because I think Terry McLaurin is a guy, unless he requests out, he's a guy who embodies what you want the Commanders to kind of be.
Yeah, now I'm thinking more draft picks.
I think that's what it would take.
Capital.
I was thinking practicality, that's all.
Dan, to go off of your point, like, I don't think Breece Hall is the guy for Washington, but who's to say I can't pair Brian Robinson with Dalvin Cook?
Exactly.
Who's a free agent? So that's a route I would consider if I'm Washington.
Yeah, well, just because Brian Robinson, he's going to be a stud. He's just not RB1 status right now. He could eventually get there.
I actually think he's had a pretty good year.
Well, no, he's had a good year. No, he's had a fine year. You know, he's a fine ball player. That's not the question. He just hasn't reached that status yet. Like, when you watch, you have to know. Yeah, this is the guy that's gonna ground and pound my way to victory. I don't see that with Brian Robinson. I don't.
The other thing I want to say about Washington, then I'll dive into Dallas for a second. Jack Del Rio did have to go, and they fired him on Friday. But this smells a lot like the Ken Dorsey thing in Buffalo, where we knew everyone was calling for it, and after a terrible showing, we needed a scapegoat.
Yeah.
That's what that feels like to me. And I'm not saying Jack Del Rio didn't deserve to be fired, because he 1,000% did. But Ron Rivera is also in that conversation. We will talk coach's hot seat in a second. Dallas's point of view, I mean, if Dallas did anything, it proved Tony Romo that they could win the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't know how many times he freaking said it up during the broadcast, but I don't think Dak Prescott's ever played better. And you know how good the defense is. But Mark, I will say this to you. I don't care what the Cowboys do in November. I don't care what the Cowboys do in December. The Dallas Cowboys are judged based on what they do in the playoffs.
Absolutely. I mean, you're 100,000% right. Every year, Dallas Cowboy fans get together. Yeah, this is our year. We're going to win it all. You want to know what? We say it like that. Buffalo Bills fans jump through tables. Minnesota Vikings fans raise ice shanties across the frozen pond. Whatever. It doesn't matter. The Cowboys will make the playoffs. Who are they going to face? If it ended now, for the last 3 years, they're going to, again, face the San Francisco 49ers. After the first showing this year, obviously, any Dallas fan has to be concerned. I don't care what happened in the regular season, as long as they step it up and play a lot better in that playoff game and win it. Then we talk further on.
But right now, they're the 5 seed because they're the first wild card, correct?
With the win the other day, yes.
So the first round, they would play the winner of the NFC South. And that is just such a mismatch.
We'll deal with that later. It should just be erased off the
the NFC South is...
Send them to college football.
They get to play Ohio State in a random bowl game. See who wins.
And Ohio State would probably win.
All right. But the third and final game on Thanksgiving saw Mark's other favorite team, the San Francisco 49ers. They went to the fish market and just dismantled the Seattle Seahawks 31-13. Brock Purdy 21 of 30, 209 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Christian McCaffrey 19 carries, 114 yards and 2 touchdowns in the win. Geno Smith was 18 of 27, 180 yards and a pick in the loss. Dan, your thoughts here on the Niners and the Seahawks?
I was hoping that this would be a much better game. Like I thought this was going to be the game of Thanksgiving, and it turned out to be a dud, a real big time dud. Geno Smith was terrible. Seahawks were terrible. I think it says a lot more about the Niners. They're a very big time team now, and I know we've been worried about them for a little bit, but I think they've gotten back on their feet a bit, and they're starting to win games again, games that they should be winning. So, yeah, no, just a dominant performance by San Francisco. Running game was stellar. Receiving game was stellar. Passing, I mean, Purdy just doing an excellent job again. And they get to down that turkey at the end of the game. You know, they get to eat those turkey legs. It's great.
Oh. Well, before Mark, you go, I just want to say this about the Thanksgiving games. Love the tributes to John Madden.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I am actually going to be buying one.
Well, I loved how they call it like the John Madden, whatever.
Yeah.
Madden Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I want a jersey with the patch. That's on my list.
Keep that. Keep that.
Every year.
Every
year. Quickly, because we got a lot to cover today. On the 49ers Seattle game, it really wasn't a matchup. Geno Smith is really injured with that shoulder injury he got last week, you know, even though he was good to play. You've lost Kenny Walker to a severe oblique injury. He's very questionable to even return this season. And, you know, Charbonnet did a pretty decent job with the opportunity he had. But there was really no chance in this game as the San Francisco 49ers defense just was too much for them. Last thing on Brock Purdy, it was not his greatest game. I mean, 21 to 30, 209, a TD and interception. Yet again, they won, so you can't take that away from him. But this was not the stat number line that people are used to from him.
But they didn't have to have him because 22 was really good in the backfield.
Oh.
And
you're not going to stop CM7 ever.
Yeah, and then they use Debo in the backfield too. Here's the thing: we questioned them when they lost 3 in a row entering their bye week. Then they come out of the bye week. They beat up on the Jaguars. They win a game again last week, and then they crush the Seahawks. I know the record. They've got the 3 losses. They are the best team in football when they are healthy.
That I will not dispute. No.
Trent Williams is back at left tackle, which is huge. Debo's back, which gives them Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, CMC. And then that defense is just...
But with the loss of, God, I'm going to butcher his name, Hafanaga. The safety, yes. I am so sorry, man. I'm not trying to make fun of you. Losing him to an ACL tear, and after the season he was having and the dominant presence he was on the field, that's a big loss.
So he was great last. I call him their Troy Polamalu just because I can't pronounce the name.
Yeah, that kind of fits.
But you know what they do have though, and they did it at the like they go out and get a Chase Young at the trade deadline. Like now I've got Chase Young, Bosa, Hargrave, and Armstead. Oh, by the way, they got Randy Gregory, and then
Oh, please, he'll be off that team quickly.
and then
He's a troublemaker.
and Fred Warner is the best middle linebacker in football.
He's amazing, but you're not going to win this argument with me. He is arguably tied for the number one linebacker in football. I'm not going to give you overall. Him and
No.
Micah
I said
one-on-one.
middle linebacker. I didn't say
Oh,
outside. Middle linebacker.
Sorry, then I apologize. I heard
Yeah.
just linebacker. Never mind. Go on.
No, and this team, they have a coach. They in Kyle Shanahan, who's as creative as it gets. I gotta tell you, I picked them to go to the Super Bowl this year. I'm gonna stick with it because the AFC team I picked won't go to the Super Bowl this year. And I apologize to the great people of Cincinnati. It is my fault that Joe Burrow got hurt. And for that, I am deeply sorry. And we will work to get better at it next time. But this Niner team is special. All right.
It's a good ball club.
All right. On to the first ever Black Friday game. And as Mark said, it was a black day. It was a dark day for one team. The Dolphins go into MetLife, beat the Jets 34-13. Tua 21 of 30, 243 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. Raheem Mostert 20 carries, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. For the Dolphins, both Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle over 100 receiving yards. Had to get that in there. For the Jets, Dan, your guy Tim Boyle 27 of 38, 179 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. And Garrett Wilson, 7 catches, 44 yards, and a touchdown. So Dan, I'm going to just give you the floor here.
Well, we can banter back and forth. First of all,
we will.
You have every right to brag. You have bragging rights the rest of the season. I don't care what they do against the Dolphins late. Look, and this is exactly what I've been trying to point out for weeks, and everyone continues to dismiss it or mock me or tell me I'm stupid or whatever. And I'm talking about the people outside the network. You know, that I have no idea what I'm talking about and everything. The Jets have way bigger issues going on in this team. And it does not start with the quarterback. And I've been saying that for the longest time. And I'm not saying that Zach Wilson didn't deserve to be benched. He did. He was not good. He has not been good all year. But to say that this was all Zach Wilson's fault is you are literally lying to yourself. Because I watched the game. People saying, well, if you're the one that's saying that Zach Wilson is not at fault, well, then you're not the one watching the game. Well, clearly I am watching the game. What I'm saying is that Zach Wilson is a problem, but he's not the main problem. The main problem has always been the coaching. And I'm going to add this in there, and I've been adding it in there slowly, but the GM is also at fault too. The Jets are not built to win. They were not built to win at all this year. Offensive line, even before the injuries, was trash. The system was built around bringing in a bunch of Aaron Rodgers as his buddies. And had nothing to do. It was only to make him comfy on this team. But it was not built to have an actual squad that can go out there and win you football games, no matter the quarterback, no matter the coaching system, no matter what. And that's the thing that very frustrated me the entire offseason. This is exactly why I did not want to get Aaron Rodgers. It's because of situations like this, where the Jets are pinned to the ground and they get mocked on national television because they're throwing out a product that gets absolutely clowned and destroyed and joked around, peed on, crapped on, you named it. So yeah, I'm not even going to talk about the performance of Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle is trash. Like we already know how bad he was before he was upgraded to QB1. I don't know what quarterback goes in there and succeeds. No quarterback goes in there and succeeds. You have to start looking to the other issues on the team, and that's the play calling. Nathaniel Hackett stinks. He's got to go. The penalties, the fact that you're undisciplined, that starts with coaching. That's a Saleh issue. Not being ready to play these games. Let's be real, the Jets were not ready to play. That's a Saleh issue. Personnel, that's a Joe Douglas issue. It's time for Woody Johnson to start addressing these parts of the team. The GM, the coaches. Personnel, we'll hand that to the next GM. We have to start having these tough conversations. And let's be real. If AR does not like it, he can walk. I didn't want him anyway. He can go back and run to his dark cave and cry and moan like a baby with the bobo and the bottle, whatever you want. Do that. You can take a hike. Because I want to win and I want to develop a good team. And we're wasting. And then here's another problem. We're wasting a good defense. Rifkin, I hate to trash your Dolphins. That Dolphins offense did not do anything in the first half. They only scored 10 points. And yes, okay, nice couple of throws to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. They made brilliant catches, but they didn't score much.
No, I never said the Jets have bad defense, but I want to go off something you said, though, because you put a lot of the blame on Joe Douglas. And I'm not disagreeing with you, but if you're right about the point you made, everything they did this offseason was to accommodate Aaron Rodgers.
Mm.
And whether it's bringing in Alan Lazard, who, by the way,
Terrible.
has been so bad, he didn't play.
Get a little of this. During practice, he was kicking soccer ball. During practice.
Kicking and screaming. Great Will Ferrell film.
Can you believe that? So while he's struggling to catch a damn football, something that he's done his entire life, he's in practice lollygagging.
Now, here's the other thing
you
said.
For benching him, by the way.
Sorry, I gotta say, you lollygag out onto the field. You lollygag off the field. You lollygag. You're a bunch of lollygaggers. Anybody who loves the movie Bull Durham knows where I was going with that.
We're good.
But the thing you were going on about, you're right. The defense is really good. It has immense talent. And you're right. They're wasting another good year of this defense. But here's the thing that bothers me the most, Dan. Because Zach Wilson wasn't the biggest problem. You're right.
He was not.
But what the hell is Tim Boyle going to show you?
Exactly. What is Trevor Siemian going to show?
Right. You know what these guys are. If they were any good, they'd be starters.
Exactly. So, and that's another thing. The fact that, and this is where I get on Douglas, the fact that he did not make any adjustments whatsoever. Okay, he brought in a bunch of O-line depth. Well, turns out that the O-line depth is crappy because they can't play the field.
Right.
You have vets too. You have veteran offensive linemen that are not good on this team.
And by the way, whether you're Woody Johnson, Joe Douglas, I don't care. There is no reason, and I mean there is no reason for Aaron Rodgers to play this year.
Yeah.
On that offensive line.
No. It's done. The season's over. Even if the Jets make a last minute run to try to save face, maybe get a winning record at the very least. It's not going to be a thing. The Jets had their chances to upgrade a quarterback. They've had their chances to beef up the O-line with good players and not losers. And then they did not do that, and this is where the season is at. And again, you can continue to blame the quarterback. You can continue, to nitpick him and everything. Ultimately, and it proved my point. That game proved my point. The Jets have way bigger issues. Put in anyone at quarterback on that team, they'll get destroyed. And I don't want to hear any more excuses about, well, if you have a good quarterback, at least they can, pick up on certain things. And, no. Protection broke down quickly.
It
That's
sure
not how
did.
quarterbacking works. Am I wrong here? Like, I don't
No.
know.
No, you're not wrong at all, Dan.
Like, I don't know what people are seeing.
When the Jets came, let's go back before the season and make this fast. When the Jets before the season, everybody from Mike to Patch to even let's go as far as Ross, all said that the Jets are the team. They are built for everything that Aaron Rodgers know. There was no predicting what was going to happen on that fourth play. Nobody could have predicted that. However, that being said, it happened. It's over with. Aaron Rodgers, look, obviously modern advancement. When you had an Achilles tear, it was a good 12 to 18 month recovery. There's no reason for Aaron Rodgers to step back on the field this year to take a chance and, re-injure it, re-aggravate it. Throwing Tim Boyle out there, like Mike said, what would have been better, Trevor Siemian? Either way, no, it wouldn't have done you any better. I think Trevor Siemian might have given you more yardage, but the problem with the Jets, and I'm sorry to say it like this, Dan, as I know you're a very big fan, is it's not coming down to the coaches and the GM. It's coming down to the players not really giving a crap anymore.
Yeah.
That's I'll end in quick, Mike, then you can take it.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, that is what I've been seeing. There was no point to bring in Dalvin Cook, and I think that just knocked the morale and the energy out of Brees Hall. Do what you have to do, DFA Dalvin Cook, and let Brees Hall in the last few games. Obviously, it would make no difference if you tank the rest of the season because you're not going to get that number one draft pick. Let Brees Hall, let this offense show you a little bit of something, and then work on filling in the holes for next year. That's where you have to look.
They're not even utilizing Brees right. They're not even.
That's what I'm saying. That's why you got to get rid of Dalvin Cook, and then they got to use Brees like,
yeah, I get you, Rifkin.
The thing for me and Mark, if the players quit, that means Robert Sala's got to go.
Unfortunately, yes. And I came out last year and said how much I respect and I think Salah's going to be good. I think the players are running into problems with him and the way his coaching is.
Yeah, well, he's for one thing, he's a player's coach. They love him in general. They just love him. He's a great player guy, locker room, no issue with that whatsoever. But it has its issues when you're not winning.
Yeah.
And when you're not making good coaching decisions to better the team, then it's going to come back to bite you even more.
Mm-hmm.
But and the other part to me is, and I don't know if he'll get a pass because of the Rodgers thing. I don't know if Joe Douglas gets a pass because of the Rodgers thing.
They all will.
But the Jets did this to themselves.
Yeah.
Because Joe Douglas, Saleh, and Woody Johnson they bring in Nathaniel Hackett. They all get on a plane to a darkness retreat, sat outside, got on their hands and knees, and begged Aaron Rodgers to come.
Yeah.
Mark's right. You couldn't foreshadow the fourth play of the year he tears his Achilles. But there's no way that Zach Wilson should have been on this team when you see Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, Brees Hall celebrating themselves getting Aaron Rodgers. That already has divided the locker room. Zach Wilson, by the way, the New York fan base is waiting for Zach Wilson to fail because it's all they've seen thus far. And the moment he does, the boo birds come out. This happens. And so Zach Wilson mentally is already defeated.
Yeah.
Now you have to figure out who else can play this position. Well, they didn't trade for Josh Dobbs. They didn't go out and sign Carson Wentz. You think Tim Boyle's a freaking answer?
No.
No. The only question Tim Boyle's going to be the answer to is who played in the first ever Black Friday game in the NFL? Tim Boyle. It's the only question he'll ever be the answer.
Trivial Pursuit, right there. There it is.
Like, jeez.
Not a sponsor.
Like, and you know, what did you want to see on Friday from Tim Boyle? Well, all we heard was he has good command of the offense. He has good command of the offense. The offense was the same crap it is every week.
Exactly.
Jeez, they don't push the ball down the field. Brees Hall's good for 2 good runs a game because the offensive line is so porous.
Well, and it's also the play calling.
Yeah, right. But so that's what I'm saying is how can you expect something to get better when the same ingredients are still there? It's the same,
and this is every week with them.
Nothing has changed.
Here's the same script. Let's see if anything changes. And of course, nothing changes.
Yeah, Nathaniel Hackett would not have a job if it weren't for Aaron Rodgers.
It goes back to Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
He's the number one problem right now. And I'm sorry for lifting up my shirt, but
you're showing Nathaniel Hackett what you really think of him.
But no, look, it goes back to Hackett because he's the number one issue because literally because he does not know how to coach an offense. He was brought in here because Aaron Rodgers likes him, and we really need to start having a big conversation with AR. Say, look, Nathaniel Hackett ain't it. Like, if we are in crisis mode and you're not playing, we need to win games because that's what it's about. It's about winning. It's not about developing and giving a good effort. I'm tired of giving good efforts only to lose. I want to win. And if we're not giving ourselves the best chance to win because the coaching stinks, because the offense stinks, because the GM is not doing his job, because the head coach can't discipline these guys, then we need to start having real conversations like actual adults. And if Aaron Rodgers does not like it, like I said, he can take a hike. He can go out,
Right.
I never wanted him here anyway. And I still don't want him here. He can leave.
Just a flip side, just to get the Dolphin perspective here.
Yeah,
and then we'll we're good. I think this is a conversation that had to happen. Because this team, I know people are going to give an excuse of the Rodgers injury, but it's not an excuse. When people are talking, oh, we got Aaron Rodgers, this Super Bowl caliber team. Well, no.
Whether we had that conversation now or we had it later, it was going to happen. And what better time to have it when you have the right three here to discuss it.
So, yeah, onto the Dolphins list. Tua was fine. The 2 picks are going to happen. I'm ecstatic that they got Jalen Waddle involved in this game.
Yes.
For over 100 yards. Tyreek did his thing. The offense was fine. The defense is what I got to talk about. The defense has looked so good the last couple of weeks. I know they played the Jets and it's a porous offensive line, but the defense played well. They lost Jalen Phillips because MetLife turf is just
I'm so sorry about that.
Hot garbage. By the way, NFL. How many freaking guys have to get hurt at MetLife Stadium before you have to make a change to it?
Exactly.
Like
thought the same thing.
What I'm waiting
for. Same thing.
Well, put the feet to the fire to the Maras. because let's be real, it's a Giants stadium. It's not Jet Stadium. I know they share it 50-50, but let's be real. This is the Giants stadium here. So this
I'm only
falls
going to say the
squarely
NFL
on
because the
John
NFL's the
Madden.
only one who's going to do something about it. I don't know if the Giants want to do anything about it, mainly because who's going to watch the Giants today?
The New York Jets' opinion doesn't matter here because the Jets are secondary. You know,
Well. By the way, their opinion should be first on this one because since Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles at the same goddamn stadium.
well, that was actually more because the offense was terrible, but
yeah.
the MetLife field was secondary.
But
no, I don't know. I do feel bad though. That's a bad loss for the Dolphins.
It's a huge
loss. Yes.
But
with that said though, Northkin, that Dolphins team is lethal. They are lethal.
Yeah, listen. They're 8-3. I kind of like them flying under the radar still because everyone's going to say, "Oh, well, they haven't beaten a good team." Well, Mark, don't take offense to this. The Cowboys really haven't beaten a great team,
and you're not wrong.
It's not college. You don't pick who's on your schedule,
right?
So I'll take the 8-3, and you move forward. But
here's the thing that the Dolphins should be thanking the Jets for that Hail Mary.
Oh my God.
They should thank the Jets because here's the thing, and I understand the call. I'm not ripping the coaches for trying to get some point before halftime. Would it kill you? Would it kill you to play the mental game a little bit? Make Tua think, oh crap, I just got picked off twice in a row by the Jet defense. Like, would it kill you? Take the knee, go to the half. You're only down 4. Make Tua think about it. Make the Dolphins think about it. Oh crap, we got to change our game plan because the Jets have our number. No. So the Dolphins
would it kill them to learn to tackle? Would it kill them to learn to tackle?
But that whole thing could have been avoided if they had just taken the knee.
No, I get you.
Yeah. Quickly before we move on, I just want to say one thing about Tua, and then we'll move. This was one of the more poor games I watched him play.
Yeah.
It's the Jets defense, so the interceptions didn't surprise me. I mean, come on, that Jet defense is lethal.
The second one by Reed was a great play by him.
Yeah, but this also flashes me back to last year when Tua started trying to get more aggressive, and that's when the Dolphins started to make that turn. Let's hope they learn from their mistakes and can keep going on a straight line like they are.
Well, I think this team's a little bit different because I do think they are committed more to running the football.
Right, especially after Mostert with 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. So
yeah, playing out there like Mozart.
All
right. So those were the games. We'll get into the games today in a few minutes. But we're at the time of year. We're week 12, so we're nearing the end of the NFL season. We're going to talk a little coach seat hot. Coach seat hot.
Coach seat hot. Sounds like something.
Coaches who are on the hot seat. If I can learn how to speak English, I will work on that and try to get better. But here's some coaches on the hot seat. We'll scale it from 1 to 10. Dan, I'll start with you since you're in the area. Ron Rivera.
It's on fire.
Okay.
It's on fire. And this is not just my opinion. This is literally the opinion of a lot of Commanders fans. A lot of what I hear on the radio, a lot of what I hear on the newscast. No, he's on fire. And look, I think that I like how Josh Harris though is still, even though he probably would consider a coaching change. I like how he still values Ron Rivera's opinion of the direction of the team. So if anything, that's probably good news for Rivera. But no, I think it's on fire right now because
so if it's scale 1 to 10,
the Commanders has not been good his entire tenure.
If it's a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 10.
Probably.
All right. Mark, Brandon Staley.
Brandon Staley for the Los Angeles Chargers. He was being given everything he could possibly need to get that team to a playoff game or even deeper into it, with Herbert, Eckler, Allen. Unfortunately, he did lose Mike Williams at the beginning of the year to a ACL tear. If there's another loss today, which would really put them out of any real chance of making a run at a wild card, I think he's the first one who's going to go of anybody.
And I'll say this, he didn't have tiebreakers over teams. Like, thing is, certain teams they've already lost to. They've lost to the Titans. They've lost to the Dolphins. But the only team they probably have a tiebreaker over at the moment, the Jets. All right. I'll go next. I'm going to go to one of Dan's former friends, Todd Bowles. I think he should be gone. I'll say this on the Bucs. The Bucs won their Super Bowl with Tom Brady. After that, they should have torn this thing down. Because this team's not good enough to compete. They're not good enough to win. And they're just holding on to dear life, thinking they can compete. Baker Mayfield's not the answer quarterback. And Todd Bowles isn't a great head coach. He's proven that. Right, we talked about Saleh before, so I'm not. Dan, if you want to go more into Saleh, you can.
It is. He's in hell. But here's
which layer in hell?
But you know what? Christ the Lord's gonna save him. I know he's not Christian, by the way. I don't mean that. That's not a disrespect to him. And the reason that is because the Jets always make the dumbest decisions possible when it comes to their football team. So he will get the pass and he'll still coach. But man, he's in hell. So I'll put it at 10, but I don't know. The Jets they always make the dumb decisions in terms of business. They're not very good at it.
All right, Mark, Matt Eberflus. Bears.
Yeah, I know. I kind of feel bad for
Dan
the guy.
looked confused, so I wanted to make sure he.
Oh yeah, no. I just wanted to figure out how I wanted to phrase it. That's all. You have to kind of feel bad for the guy. I mean, you lost Justin Fields for a period of time. You did acquire DJ Moore. Mooney was supposed to be better. The defense has really been atrocious this year, and you can't expect an offense that's missing so many pieces that they could keep up. I think he's actually going to get a reprieve and get another year and be able to see what he can get out of the draft because, as we all know, they own Carolina's pick, and that pick could be a deciding factor into what happens next year. Before I throw it over to Mike quickly, I know everybody's talking Caleb Williams, but if I'm the Bears, at this point, then I keep Justin Fields and I grab Marvin Harrison at 1. Mike, go ahead.
Well, I was just holding up the 1 because it's right now it's the first overall pick.
Right.
But here's the thing. The last 5 games or so, it's an audition for Justin Fields.
Yeah.
To be the quarterback of the Bears or being a starting quarterback somewhere else.
And that's a fair statement. This is a guy who has a chance to either take over the Bears and be the Bears quarterback for at least the next, I guess, 3 more years, what would be left on his contract. Or can you make a deal with a team such as it's kind of hard to really think of where he would go right now because everybody seems complaining. But could you think of him like in New England?
Fields?
Could Fields end up in New England?
Yeah, I would put New England. I'm going to the team I just said, Tampa Bay, could use
right. So there are teams that could use him, but these are teams that are gonna need their draft picks to bolster their team. So it's
Right.
gonna be
So a team who might be looking to still be winners, but maybe looking at the backside. How about a team like the Rams? We've had that conversation, Mark.
yes, we have. The whole key is the Bears, as Mike said, right now own that number one pick. And obviously it could go with one of a trillion ways. It's impossible to say this is going to be, but you have to think it's either Caleb Williams and Marvin Harris Jr. And if I'm the Chicago Bears, I want to keep Justin Fields, knowing what he can do with the running and the passing, and give him Marvin Harrison. Now you have DJ Moore on one side, Marvin Harrison Jr. on the other, and then Cole Kmet. If you could just give Fields a little more time, there's a scary offense right now.
And but by the way, their pick right now would be in the top 5 too. So you can draft one of the better offensive linemen as well.
Like Joe Alt out of Notre Dame.
Joe Alt to the Penn State left tackle.
Yeah, him as well. So it's going to get interesting, not for teams that are going into the playoffs, but to see who's going to end up with that first pick or first 3 picks.
Yeah. The last one we'll talk about, and then we'll get everyone in here. We took the hoodie, Bill Belichick, and listen, I don't think he coaches in New England next year. It's come to a point where this team, I think, goes in a different direction. He'll coach somewhere, but it's not New England.
Go ahead, Dan, because I have no words right now. So
I never thought that New England would ever consider firing him or letting him go, but it's a very real possibility that Bill Belichick may not even get his say on what he wants to do with his career. Like, that's wild. You're not even gonna allow him to be like, "Hey, look, I'm gonna resign." I can't do that. That's crazy, but it's a real possibility. It's middle of the pack for me. I don't know. Like, I don't. If he goes, it's gonna be because of Bill Belichick. Can you imagine a firing of Bill Belichick after so many years? And I know it's happened. And Mark, you know this. I know it's happened to Tom Landry, but it doesn't mean that it has to happen to Bill Belichick. Like, I don't know.
I don't know if he gets fired. I don't think he's coaching that. They could trade his contract. They could do whatever they want.
Or they can give him the Tom Coughlin treatment where he resigned, but he was actually fired. But they're not gonna say he was fired.
Yeah, you're right. Or my least favorite saying in America: mutually agreed to part ways. There was nothing mutual about that.
Good.
Bill Belichick is arguably the coach of coaches. You want to go back to Bear Bryant, Vince Lombardi. That was in another time. Belichick does not deserve to be fired. I don't care if the man is on the sideline with the hoodie and a walker with tennis balls or little footballs on it until he gets that win with New England that puts him past the all-time record. Yes, it's not going to be an easy thing to do, but the man is not done in New England. The man is not done coaching in the NFL. If he does get moved, like Mike said, when he referenced Tom Landry, when Jerry Jones took over the Cowboys, that he was one of the first ones to go, and then he brought in Jimmy Johnson. Robert Kraft loves Bill Belichick. And unless Robert Kraft sells the team, which I don't think we're going to see, I can't envision that team without him next year or the next couple of years.
Well, they're going to have to change something quickly.
Yeah, well, I don't disagree with you there.
I mean, because that team, they're unwatchable at the moment. So
Yeah.
right now, those are some of the coaches on the hot seat. We'll get into some of today's games, Mark. First place is on the line in the AFC South when Trevor Lawrence and the Jags visit CJ Stroud and the Texans.
Do not underestimate the Texans. Look, I've never been in favor of a rookie quarterback coming into the NFL and immediately starting. I'm always the one who says, let him carry a clipboard and learn. This kid, CJ Stroud, I don't even want to call him a kid, is acting like a pure professional out there. He is using every aspect of that offense, whether it's use of the running game with Devin Singletary and Damian Pierce, or finding Tank Dell, wide open. And you gotta wonder what's going on there. This team can really, really, really do it. So, and then you got Sunshine and excuse me, you have Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars, who are one of the hottest teams in football right now, in my opinion, being on their offense or on their defense. So this is a tough game to call, but here's the upset of the day. I think the Houston Texans will beat the Jaguars, and it'll be a close game, 24-21.
All right. Dan, any thoughts to Jags Texans?
So, all of a sudden, this is becoming a tough game for the Jaguars. A game that they have to have because now the division's definitely on the line here. I don't know. I'm kind of worried about Houston here because they've been riding high for a while. They're kind of due for a bad game here. And what way to do it than to face your division rival?
You're not wrong.
That's where that's what my thinking is. So I don't know. Like, I think the Jaguars, maybe they'll feel a little more inspired. They need a win. They want a big win against a division rival and stuff. And the Texans are due for a bad loss. They're due for it.
Listen, I love what the Texans are doing.
Yeah, no, they've been terrific.
They've been great. Dan,
and hats off to D'Amico Ryans for
your cousin D'Amico Ryans right now, for my money, is the coach of the year for what he's done with that team. I like him at home. I like the way they're playing. I know the Jags just crushed the Titans, but the Titans aren't any good. I like there's something about Houston, man. I just like them. I like the way they're playing. I love the fact that CJ Stroud throws 3 picks last week and it doesn't get him down. This team embodies what their head coach is like. I like where they're going. I think for the Jags, I think there's 2 keys for the Jags. I think one, you have to get Calvin Ridley the ball because that was important for them last week. And 2, you got to get in CJ Stroud's face defensively. I think that's important. So that's for first place in the AFC South. We have an AFC North battle. We got the Steelers and the Bengals. No Joe Burrow. Done for the year. We talked about that last week. And the Steelers this week fired offensive coordinator Matt Canada. They sent him back to Canada.
I was about to say, did they send him back to Canada?
I mean, his favorite ginger ale is Canada Dry.
I'm a Schweppes guy.
Are you?
Yeah, I like Schweppes ginger ale.
I like the fact that we just got to a ginger ale conversation.
I don't know. Yeah, to keep away from tangents. You got a really interesting game here. Unfortunately for Cincinnati, I wasn't here last week when the guys talked about it. Yes, Joe Burrow done for the season. It's, unfortunate, but it's not like the team doesn't have weapons. It still has the ability to score. The question is, can the defense keep them in the game long enough for this offense to really take charge of it?
Dan?
So with this game, the Steelers, they have to, you make a change in coaching, you have to win your game. The response has to be, and I said the same thing about the Jets when they made changes to their roster and coaches or whatever. When you make changes, the response has to be that you're going to win and that you're going to play well. If the Steelers don't respond with a better offense, then clearly there are way bigger issues with the Steelers than just the OC.
Yes.
And it you have to and this could be a big come down to earth moment for them. I expect them to beat the Bengals. I don't like them not without Joe Burrow. Now that the funny thing is the Bengals still have their weapons, so let's see what Jake Browning can do. But no, your response has to be to go out there and really kick ass if you think that the offensive coordinator was the problem.
Yeah, this is now time for Kenny Pickett to put up or shut up. And I don't want to hear he doesn't have the weapons. George Pickens, I think, could be DK Metcalf 2.0. Deontay Johnson has to do better than getting into fights with coaches on the sideline. Najee Harris has to live up to his bill. This team put up 10 points against Cleveland. They lost to Dorian Thompson Robinson, whatever his name is in Cleveland. That's inexcusable.
Yeah.
Look, to the friends who are watching from Top Notch Sports Club, who I know are watching right now and are very big Pittsburgh fans, Kenny Pickett was not the answer, and I said that last year and I said it this year. I didn't like. To me, he's another Daniel Jones, and I'm sorry to put it that harshly. These guys might not agree with me, but that's all I'm seeing right now.
What Kenny Pickett was he was the safe pick because he's the guy out of Pitt, stays in Pitt. The fans will love him. The Steelers didn't need the safe pick. What the Steelers needed was their response to having Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson in their division. Because Watson came in later. That's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
But, if you're doing that ranking every year, you're going to put Kenny Pickett as the fourth best quarterback in his own division. So
I just feel bad that they can't build a nice picket fence for him to throw from behind.
you know what they need? They need the fence from Home Improvement that always covered Wilson's face. That's what they really need. All right. NFC South, we got the Saints and the Falcons. Mainly because this is for first place. The Falcons are going back to the Riddler, Desmond Ridder.
I think it's a smart move. Desmond Ridder can run this team. I had to go back and watch tapes of him in college because I really didn't know a lot about him. And then I've watched him over the last year and a half really start to turn into a quarterback. Nobody's going to be perfect when they come out in their first couple of years unless your name is Patrick Mahomes. And this isn't the case. He's got the talent. He's got the receivers. I think the play calling has been the huge mistake because you got Tyler Algier, you got Bijan Robinson, and you got Drake London. You got offensive weapons. Just use them. And this Atlanta offense can be a little bit more explosive.
And Kyle Pitts.
Well, and I didn't mention him because he's never been a factor any year.
That's true. That's fair.
And with the New Orleans Saints, I believe Derek Carr is still scheduled to start today,
Yeah,
but
he
know that
cleared protocol.
Jameis Winston is still in the wings. And yes, he threw a couple of touchdowns, but he was still slinging interceptions, which we came to know Jameis for. But this is a game for the Saints to really break out, considering how bad that Atlanta secondary is, and look for Chris Olave to have at least 100-yard day in the touchdown.
Yeah, no Michael Thomas. He went on IR. So
Yet again.
yeah. Dan Saints Falcons.
So, two mediocre at best teams facing each other. I better see some competition over here. Look, the Saints are no better than the Falcons. They're not. And I really think that, both teams need to take charge. One of them has to take charge, someone. I think the Saints can do it better than the Falcons. Contrary to Mark, I don't trust Desmond Ritter that much.
Okay.
But I understand where you're coming from. But I feel like the Saints are in a better spot. And I know that their defense isn't the greatest. They can be good. It can be good at times. Offense isn't the greatest either. But I think the Saints are in a better position. Falcons make way too many mistakes all around.
I think the Saints need to win this game.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the Saints, if the Saints lose this game, the amount of pressure that's going to be on them, because I thought before the year they'd be one of those teams, like, they're not a Super Bowl team, but they're a sleeper team in the NFC. And they haven't played up to that level. Derek Carr hasn't played up to that level. We could have added Dennis Allen to the hot list, the coaching list on the hot seat before. I think the Saints need this one on the road against the Falcons. All right, Mark, we're going to go through these last couple very quickly. Browns Broncos. The Broncos back in the race. They've won 4 in a row.
Yeah, let's credit luck. We'll make it very quickly. Broncos lose this game. Mic drop, done. Next.
Broncos win. I'm not trying. I can't trust the Browns. Broncos win. They're turning the corner. I like what Sean Payton has been doing lately. And Russell Wilson is back. He's back to what he naturally is. A guy that can escape, a guy that can run, throw at times when he needs to. He runs an offense. He's commanding it. I see a Bronco victory.
I just like Cleveland's defense too much to pick against them. Mark, great rivalry, Chiefs Raiders.
It is a great rivalry going back from the AFC West for a very long time, but this isn't a competition. This will be a slaughter. Kansas City Chiefs blow them out of the water by over 20.
Does Marquez Valdes-Scantling catch a pass?
Marquez Valdes-Scantling better not be on the field today, because I think someone might pelt him with something to get him off the field. The biggest drop of the year.
All right. Then we got the game of the day. We got Bills-Eagles.
Bills-Eagles. Dan, I'm going to let you go first on this one.
The Eagles are a better team than the Bills. They're better. The Bills are now claiming that they're back. Josh Allen is effing back because of their performance against the Jets. That means absolutely nothing until you put up a good game against an actual team like the Eagles. By the way, if the Bills don't beat the Eagles, then the Jets are better than the Bills because, not only did they beat them week 1, they beat the Eagles in week 6, and
That's still the weirdest thing for me that the Eagles' only loss is the Jets.
Yeah. So,
yeah, but it was that Jets defense that won that game, wasn't the offense.
But
they still won the game.
They still won.
They still won. I'm not taking it away
Mark,
from them.
of the Jets' 4 wins, which of those did the defense not win?
Exactly. Well, yeah, true.
Yeah. I was trying to put a positive spin on it.
They could have won the Chiefs game if the refs didn't F it up for us.
Taylor Swift was in the building. They knew what they were doing.
That would have been a legitimate Zach Wilson victory. I'm telling you right now, that would have been a legitimate Zach Wilson.
He also had a legitimate win over the Raiders. They blew it.
No, the Bills are a terrible team. They're a terrible team. And look, they can show me something. If you really want to show us that you're a really good team, go out there and kick ass. And by kick ass, I mean blow out the birds. I just don't know if they'll do it in Philly. That's a tough environment.
Okay. And anybody who knows going, like Dan said, going into Philadelphia is probably the most brutal, violent stadium in football.
Yeah,
you actually
snowballs at Santa Claus,
or get thrown off the third tier onto the first tier. So this game, Dan saying the Buffalo Bills are horrible. I'm sorry, Nate Moser. I have to agree with him right now. When the Bills came out in the beginning of the year, yet again, on paper, every team can look good. It's just what performs. They're not performing like a team they were last year. Josh Allen, nobody talks about the stat I'm going to mention. Everybody's so concerned when Dak throws one interception in bed. Josh Allen has 12 interceptions this year, and how much do we hear Steve Smith or anybody calling him out on it? We don't.
I think that's tied for the league lead, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right. This has arguably been his worst season to date. Stephon Diggs is having a great year. They're starting to utilize Dalton Kincaid more. Gabe Davis has dropped off the field, and they don't use James Cook enough. They have the team. It's the play calling that is so bad. And if it's that bad, Josh Allen, grow a pair and change the play in the friggin' huddle and call your own plays until you get it right. As for Philadelphia, may their bus break down and they can't get to the stadium and they have to forfeit, and works for me.
And it counts in the standings too. So
right.
Listen, I'm hoping the Bills bus breaks down.
I don't wish harm on any player or anything, but the bus breaks down for some reason, and then the doors are sealed shut and they can't get out, so they can't attend the game and they get a loss. That's my biggest hope.
This is a game where the Bills' defense can get tested. Because it's pick your poison. You want Devontae Smith to beat you? You want A.J. Brown to beat you? Or do you want the Eagle run game to beat you? This is where the Bills are. In particular, one guy's going to have to earn his money. Von Miller. Von Miller doesn't have a sack on the season. This is the game where you need Von Miller to show up.
Well, I mean, he did come into the season like late, so
no, I know
that's also very true.
But if you're healthy and you claim to be healthy, you got to get to the quarterback. That's your job. So, all right. So then we got Sunday night, Ravens, Chargers. Mark, it feels like an elimination game for the Chargers.
It is. It really, really is. Again, I love Justin Herbert. The kid is just an amazing quarterback, and his accuracy and the zip he can put on the ball. Probably, if you were to sit there with a radar gun, I wouldn't be surprised if he's top 3 in the league in how hard he throws the ball. But if they end up losing this game and you're trying to stop Lamar Jackson now with, unfortunately, Mark Andrews out, Odell Beckham Jr. really has to step up here and fill in that void and pick up those receptions. But I think we're going to finally see the old play calling with Lamar Jackson running the ball 15 times a game. And then you'll get that random play action, which then they're going to kill you on. The Ravens are arguably one of the more scary teams, but losing Mark Andrews, sorry, I apologize, really took them down a notch. But there's no question in my mind they're winning this game, meaning the Ravens.
All right. Dan, any thoughts on the Sunday night game?
So the Ravens at Chargers. I think that the Ravens probably could use this win. It's been a tough last couple of weeks for them. Despite winning and all that stuff, it's been a tough past couple of weeks. I think that the Ravens could use the victory just to prove to themselves that, no matter who they lose on offense or defense, they can still pull out victories and legitimately pull out victories.
Oh, that defense has been so good all year.
Yeah. As for the Chargers, they're really serious about making a playoff run. Like, they really got to win these games.
They got to win. They got to probably win out.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Mark, you brought up Odell Beckham, and I think that's a fair point. I'm also going to go Zay Flowers. I think Zay Flowers is another guy they drafted
who's had an excellent rookie season.
He's been very good. Yeah. So, very quickly, the fantasy player of the day you got for today, Mark.
The fantasy player of today is going to be none other than Matthew Stafford, who I think is going to throw over 4 touchdowns, and not the 2 starters who are right now game time decisions. Watch for Matthew Stafford to pull out every step and trick in the book against the Arizona Cardinals today.
Dan?
You got to look out for Saquon Barkley against the Patriots.
Another good one.
This is a good day for Saquon to actually get it going. Patriots in big disarray. They're a messy team, messy squad. Can't protect anybody. Defense ain't good. Get it done, Giants. Saquon Barkley.
I'm going to go Derrick Henry. The Panthers stink, so take anyone you want off the Titans offense. You want Derrick Henry, you want Will Levis, you want DeAndre Hopkins. I don't care. The Panthers are terrible. Sorry, Frank Reich. That'll do it for this edition of the Sunday Sideline Report here on the SIN YouTube channel. We're here every week previewing the week that will be in the NFL. Check out the website, www.thesportsincitynetwork.com. They blogs, vlogs, planes, trains, and automobiles. Follow us on the socials, on Twitter at SInsanityReal. We're also on Facebook. Check out the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And for Mark, Dan, I'm Mike. Talk to you next week here on the Sunday Sideline Report, sponsored by the Dugout of Millwood. Talk to you next week and enjoy the football, everybody.